Ron, can you comment again on the reason there's so much disinformation out there in the world right now? So much about med beds, other products and services, so much on intel and dates, and so much about who is right, who is wrong. It is so hard to listen and to follow. Why do you believe this is happening and accelerating at this time?
That's a wonderful question. And let's just premise this with the concept or the reality that we are in a war against good and evil. Now, have you known about the war against good and evil? Well, very seldom. Uh, we don't see the spaceships out there doing the Star Wars stuff, but it's being done all the time. So when you are at war, military deception is a tool, and it can be greater than the greatest bomb. It can be greater than a nuclear bomb in its way of destruction. You give military deceptions so that the opposite, your enemies, whatever you want to call them, uh, will believe that, and you get a tactical advantage. It's done by both sides. And okay, what about dates? You said something about dates in there. So much on intel and dates. And how do you judge? How do you determine which one you want to follow, or what understanding do you have that is consistent with all of that stuff? The alliance doesn't operate with dates. So if somebody's giving you a date for something to happen, no, it's not from the alliance. But that's not their way of dealing with information. They do not give dates. So who's talking about this? Who's talking about that? They give you a date. And I've heard so many dates that have come and gone. One of those promulgators says it could happen tonight. It could happen before the RV could happen before we finish our call tonight, this very night. That's the way that they premise and conclude their I guess. I don't listen to them because they're not somebody who is enlightened and who has the truth. They have a motive for their reason. They sell their trusts $150 or whatever it is, and then tell you that you have to have a trust to get the RV. Those are lies. Uh, the RV does not take a trust. The RV, okay, I'm going to make a really interesting statement here. The Alliance will only give their redemption funds to humanitarians. If you're not a humanitarian, you will not get funded from the Alliance. Period. Exclamation point. The Alliance gave us Love One Society as a structure to use for humanitarians that have funds. Love One Society is just a structure of programs that you can use as the humanitarian. And when you get your funds, then you can start operating in those programs. Okay. So med beds and products and so forth. Med beds are a common uh, belief system. And the military uses med beds and they can repair people and put them back together again when they're blown apart. If they haven't, if their spirit has not left the body or the what's left of the body, just tell them to stay with their body, and then the med beds or that kind of technology can But if you leave your body, then you're finished with the body. But the idea there is that you are the one that's in charge. If you know that you're in charge, stick around till your body gets healed or reconstructed, whatever. Okay. Okay, let's go back to the questions here. So much disinformation. Why? It's military disinformation if it comes from the good side. It's also good stuff that's coming from the bad side. The bad side knows that if they can give disinformation that we believe, and many, 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 many of our good people believe in these military deceptions. And if there's a date involved in it, then you're believing military deceptions that are not from the alliance. Listening to the voice of the Spirit is going to be, and how many different ways does that happen to us? Each individual is an individual source for their own inspiration. That is, you go back to Love One Society's mission statement. You ponder these things in your mind and in your heart, and then the voice of the Spirit will speak to you in a soft tone. And you'll find peace and happiness. You'll find the feeling of peace and happiness when you get it right. And the precursor is the nice feeling that you get. But the real power is when you hear the voice. That's what I've been trying to tell people. Love One Society was given to us by the Alliance. They knew we needed that in order for us to distribute the funds properly. Why do you think that I say that Love One Society, if you're not doing your own teaching and your own training, teaching yourself, and your own training of Love One Society's documents and videos and all of this sort of thing, and preparing so that you can be just as qualified by God to do the work that is necessary to do with the funds that you're supposed to get. And people join Love One Society, and I want the SKRs. Is there interest in money? I'd like to. There's things that I'd like to do, and I need the money to do that. I say, well, one of your qualifications is to have a good heart for that. But don't stop with that, because that does not qualify you to receive the funds. You've got to prove to God that you are qualified for Him to give you money to do the things that you say you're going to do. A humanitarian, when they get funds, they don't change. The most important thing in their life is service to other people. Can that be the qualification that a lot of people think they're supposed to are missing out on? They think they're going to get the money, but they possibly will not get it because they don't. God doesn't trust them with the money because it will change who they are and they will go out of bounds. The plan is in place. And Love One Society is part of the Alliance plan. I don't know how to say that any more clear. So those who have the heart for it won't change. Those who are interested in money for their own purposes probably won't get it. So there's a plan in place. Work with the plan that God has given us. And that's my counsel and my advice. So if you call me up or you email me and say, well, I want to get my SKRs and everything in place and so that I can have the funds to do this. And behind the scenes are saying, boy, I'm going to buy the house on the hill. I'm going to drive in this big car and have everybody look at me and think that I'm really something great. No. Keeping up with the Joneses, you're the Jones. There's no Joneses out there, if you want to call it that. There's no Joneses to keep up with. You will do what you do with your funds. They are your funds as a humanitarian. They do not fund projects. They fund you to do your projects. And that's how the qualification works. So without the voice of the Spirit, you're gonna be on a course that's confusing and upsetting, and you'll give up on it. But keep searching for the voice of the Spirit in your life and show God that you're ready to receive the funds and that you won't change when you get them. Change as in becoming arrogant and proud. This is a difficult subject for me to talk about because it sounds like I'm arrogant and proud. I'm just telling you that this is the way the alliance is set up. And we'll see. So let's move on to the next question.
Thank you, Ron, for sharing your very wise perspective on this. And I know it'll help a lot of people. And we will be right back with another question from a member.
Okay.